And we're moving on to another story. This case involved the European Union, the Parliament of the European Union. These people cannot help themselves, right? So the European Union passed a resolution condemning the detention of deposed President Mohamed Bazoum and demand his reinstatement. And funny enough, one of the things they mentioned is that Bazoum term end in April, and we're almost there. I think the first week of April or something. I'm not sure. I probably had it here, but they hope that Bazoum can be released by by the end of his term, his first term. But he's under Nigerian justice, and the European Union does not have the right or the jurisdiction, even the moral authority to demand his release. He's being charged with chief treason. Actually, he's not in detention in the traditional sense where he's in a jail cell. He's actually still at the presidential palace, from what I can gather, and he's not being mistreated. But the Nigerian authorities summoned the representative to of the European Union to Niger, and a few days later, the president of the Confederation of Sahel State, Captain Ibrahim Traore, Captain Ibrahim Traore, released a statement condemning, and I implore you to go and read that statement, which is very important because it shows that it seems like the European Union seems to be living in or living behind time. If you notice, the United States has sent their representative to the Sahel to reach out to these countries instead of pursuing dialogue. The French seems to be going to the European Union, trying to get European backing for intervention in Niger. And it seems like the French are living in 1960s, 1950s, 1980s, 1970s. Niger is not the Niger of the um, Niger is not the Niger of 2023. This is a whole different country, and the people of Niger have taken their destiny in their own hand. And I don't know what intervention France can use to reinstate so-called constitutional rule. And but we all know what this is about. This is not about Bazoum. They could care less about Bazoum. You know, they could care less about democracy. From what I've seen, this seems to be about uranium. You haven't had access to Niger's uranium for over 2, 3 years, almost 3 years, and you're starting to feel the pinch. You're not getting your oil or so forth from the Middle East, so now you need Niger uranium. But there's a way to get Nigerian uranium without all this fuss. You just pay for it. That's the that's the least you can do. That's the best way to go for it. Just pay for Niger uranium. Nigeria regained sovereignty of its natural resources. You thought the state will not survive with that brutal blockade. And we know this brutal blockade does not affect the government in place or the people you're trying to, let me move for, or the people you're trying to overthrow, but it affects the population. And the question is, how will France get this uranium? Because you, the European Union is not a army, it's not a military organization. So how do you expect the European Union to restore Bazoum to power? It cannot. So any military adventurism will not end well. Of course, it will be bad for the region and for the population in Niger, but France will not achieve its goal in getting its hand on Niger uranium again. Negotiation is the negotiation and diplomacy. And it seems like the French have always been behind. The United States themselves, for what it's worth, we know we know Uncle Sam don't necessarily do diplomacy, but at least they're putting in a representative to the Sahel to talk with them and so forth. But the French are not doing. The French, I don't know what game they're trying to play or what. If it's, of course, part of it is hubris, for part of it is contempt. It seems for the population, and they view this region as their colony. but you've lost. Times have changed, the world is changing. And I think those who get ahead of the game and understand how the geopolitical and geoeconomical situation of regions and of the world is changing will definitely succeed in this world. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. These are some of the geopolitical updates that are going on.